Hello and welcome to Middle Eastern Thursday. So guys, you have asked me continuously to share or do a video on my entire fragrances collection. But guys, I have such a large collection that if I were to do a video sharing my entire collection, it would take us probably 5 hours. So what I've decided to do is just little by little share with you little pieces of my collection. So today I have a very special video for you because I'm going to be sharing with you all of the fragrances that are a part of my Lattafa collection. Now, as I share these fragrances with you, I will be ranking them. So I will start with the ones that are my least favorite and go all the way to the very top to my very favorite fragrance. Now, all of these fragrances, which by the way are a total of 37 fragrances, all of these fragrances have been hauled and reviewed here on the channel. So in the interest of time, I'm going to move rather quickly and not share too many details about each fragrance because honestly, guys, in most instances, I've discussed these fragrances not once, not twice, but so many times here on the channel. And if you've been with me since the beginning of my Middle Eastern fragrances journey, you will recognize that some of these fragrances go way back. Now, if you've also been here with me for a while, you may be thinking, well, Arahi, I'm very familiar with which ones are your favorites within Lattafa. But I am here to tell you guys that there's been so many new launches and I pick up, of course, so many fragrances on the regular that there's been a serious shift amongst the top fragrances from my Lattafa collection. So those that were at the top may no longer be at the very top and may have been toppled by others that were just released. But before we jump right in, if this is your first time here, I'm Arahi and I'm your fragrance concierge because I'm totally committed to creating the best fragrance experience for you. I upload videos multiple times a week, and in this channel, we love to talk about all types of fragrances. Now, if that sounds like the type of content that you're interested in and like a good plan, then please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget, leave a comment. Let's go. All right, guys, so the first couple of fragrances that I'm going to share with you today are fragrances from a collection that if you saw the haul, I'm sure you noticed that I was not very impressed with the fragrances, but I really thought, well, maybe the reason I feel this way about these fragrances is because they need time to sit. I don't know, but I have to tell you that time has gone on and I am just not really very into these fragrances at all. So of course, they have landed at the very bottom of my ranking list. And the first fragrance that I'm going to share with you is Brioche Vanille. Guys, you may recall that I told you that this to me smells like bread. And definitely brioche, but you know, and I've shared this with you in other videos where I've discussed other fragrances that are not even Middle Eastern. And I've told you that you know, smelling like bread just does not appeal to me at all. So this is my least favorite Lattafa fragrance right now. So the next fragrance that I have is, of course, from that same collection. And this is a fragrance, guys, that just keep in mind, this is just my personal opinion because I know that there's quite a number of fam members that absolutely love this fragrance. You know, it's not that it's not that it doesn't smell good, guys. It's just that it really does nothing for me. I'm just like not enthusiastic about pulling it, about using it. So yeah, so this one is Artisan Ethnique. Yes, guys, I'm sorry. I tried and I allowed it to sit and I tried to use it a couple of times and I keep then, you know, layering it with something else because it just really does nothing for me. It doesn't make me feel any kind of way. You know, it is a lovely fragrance, but it's just not for me. So that's where it's landing in my ranking. So the next fragrance that I want to share with you is Kashan. Now, Kashan is a fragrance, guys, that, you know, I did kind of start to like it a little bit after a while, but still not enough to make it in any way to a significant level within my collection or when I rank my entire collection. This is a fragrance that has some raspberry, some sandalwood, some clarisage, which I pick up on clearly. But again, this is just not a fragrance that has really captured my heart in any way. So that's why it is in this ranking level. Now, this next fragrance, guys, is one that when I share it with you, you guys are going to be like, what, Arahi? What do you mean? So this is a fragrance, guys, that is very, very loved amongst those that are Middle Eastern fragrances aficionados. And I have to tell you that for me, if you recall when I hauled this fragrance, this was not a love. There's just something about it that doesn't allow me to love this fragrance. And today I'm not going to focus a lot on what the fragrance was inspired by, because I've reviewed and talked about all of these fragrances in detail here on the channel. So just go to the search bar within my channel page, enter the name of the fragrance, and any video where I've discussed the fragrance will definitely pop up. But this next fragrance is none other than Ensemble Gold. Guys, no. It's not that I dislike it, it's just that it's not, you know, one of the fragrances that is at the very top of my loves within my Lattafa collection. This is a fragrance that I rarely pull, and when I pull it, it's really to layer, like to try and come up with some layering combinations for you, because I know you guys love this fragrance. But yeah, I'm just not really into this fragrance. It does smell very nice, there's nothing wrong with it, but this one is just not my cup of tea. So this next fragrance is one that has been in my collection for quite a while, and I know some of you really do enjoy it, and there's nothing wrong with this fragrance, and I'm speaking about Rams Gold. This is just a fragrance that, again, I'm never really enthusiastic about pulling it, not even to layer, to be honest with you, and this is a lovely fragrance. It's a combination of like some fruity notes and some floral notes, and if I recall correctly, there's a pretty dominant like orange blossom and jasmine combination. But it is overall a lovely fragrance, but just not one that I pull at all. And I have considered decluttering it several times, but it is a fragrance that I do get questions on all the time, and it's just handy for me to have it in my collection and be able to pull it and sniff. But yeah, it's gonna land at this level in the ranking. So this fragrance would have made it higher in the ranking, but unfortunately, guys, there's been so many mango fragrances that there is no way that this one, in my opinion, could stand, you know, against some of the mango fragrances that have been launched by Lattafa itself, by French Avenue, by Paris Corner. There's just been so many incredible mango fragrances. So unfortunately, Yaratos falls this low in my ranking. So the next fragrance that I have for you is a fragrance that I do enjoy this fragrance. I do like this fragrance very much, but when I had to compare it and rank it against the others that I have for you today, it just fell this low in the ranking, and there was nothing I could do about it. And I tried to like spray it on skin and try and feel, you know, a certain way about it. And it is an incredible fragrance. It really is. It's just like, it's just gonna land at this level in the ranking. So, and I'm speaking about Lattafa Haya. Now, Haya, as you may recall, is part of a collection where there's 3 fragrances, and I do enjoy them all. The others are coming, you know, later. But this one is a lovely fragrance. There's some champagne in here, some rose. It is sweet, but not very sweet. And you would think that because of the bottle and some of the notes, it's a juvenile kind of fragrance, but it's not, guys. It's actually a very, very lovely fragrance that does have its place in my collection, but unfortunately did rank a bit low. All right, guys. So the next 3 fragrances that I'm going to share with you, I am really not going to spend much time on, because I have discussed these 3 fragrances to exhaustion here on the channel, as most of us have, right? We've talked about these fragrances time and time again. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the first one that you know, I'm just not feeling it. I mean, this is one that I should have decluttered, but again, you know, I get questions on it still to this day. So it's just nice for me to have it handy. But I have to tell you, Ragba has been on the chopping block for a very long time. And this is where it lands in the ranking. I know that many of you love this one, and the next two that are coming, oh my goodness, you guys are just going to like not be happy with me. But hey, this is where it lands in the ranking for me. So the next two fragrances, guys, if I just shared Ragba, next two are going to be Camera Kawa and Camera. But let's start with Camera Kawa. So between Camera Kawa and Camera itself, Camera for me is my favorite. There is something, especially now that this fragrance has had a chance to sit, there's something kind of like bitter, you know, in the scent profile of this fragrance. I can't put my finger on it, but this one of the two is my least favorite, and this is where it lands in the ranking. So as I just said, the next one is definitely Camera. And Camera to me is the one that comes the closest to being inspired truly by Kilian's Angel Share. It's still not 100% on point, but it's quite close. All right, guys, so this next fragrance, I tell you, you are not going to be happy with me, but hey, this is just my opinion. We all have our opinions, so we can just agree to disagree. But I have to tell you that now this is where Nebras falls in my collection. Yes, this is a lovely fragrance, and I did enjoy it for a while, but guys, I just don't really pull it, and I do keep it as a reference because many people ask about it all the time. This is a fragrance that, if I recall correctly, has some cacao, some rose, and I know that it's supposed to be, you know, inspired by a very popular fragrance, but I'm not going to discuss that here today. We're just ranking today. But definitely, guys, I know that many of you absolutely love this fragrance, and it is a lifer for you, and I am so happy for you, but this is where Nebras falls in my ranking. All right, guys, so the next fragrance that I have for you is Chic Al Shuyuk, and this one is the Luxe Edition. Now, this is a fragrance, guys, that I absolutely love. I really do. And it is now the turning point within my ranking where I'm going to start sharing with you fragrances that I'm sure that you know that I love. It's just that this one fell. When I compared it to the others that are coming up, this one just fell here on the ranking. But this is a lovely, lovely fragrance that I do enjoy. This is a powerhouse. Anyway, but I could just sit here and talk about it, so let's just move on. So the next fragrance that I have for you is a fragrance that is part of a collection of two within the Lattafa portfolio of fragrances, and the other one is an extreme love of mine. And as soon as I share this one, you'll be like, oh yes, Arahi, we know which one you're talking about. But this one is AJWAD. And AJWAD is a lovely fragrance that I really, really enjoy, guys. It fell here in the ranking only because the ones that are coming up are such deep loves, but I really, really enjoy this fragrance. As a matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to spray it right now because, oh, I just love this fragrance, guys. Please let us know, are you a fan of AJWAD? Because I know that there are some like mixed, not necessarily reviews, but some people love it. Some people really don't like it. But I absolutely love it. All right, guys, so the next fragrance is part of yet another collection that we're all very familiar with from Lattafa, and I have not been very successful in this collection. There's only two fragrances that are true loves of mine from this collection. As a matter of fact, the others that I do not have in my collection were such disappointments that I did declutter them. I didn't even keep them for comparison's sake or anything like that. I just really moved on. But this one, I love this one. And this one is Badi Al Oud, Honor and Glory. And I know that if you've been with me for a while, you know that I absolutely love this fragrance. It is falling a little bit low in the ranking, only, guys, because I am telling you, all of the fragrances that are coming up are true loves of mine to different degrees, obviously, which is why they're ranked. This is a fragrance that has quite a bit of vanilla. It is sweet. It is a bit warm, spicy, but guys, this is such a lovely fragrance. I absolutely enjoy wearing this fragrance. It is a fragrance that for me is perfect for the season that we're in. So I not only pull it to use it on its own, but I love to layer with it. So the next fragrance that I have for you is from another collection where there's a couple of fragrances. And as soon as I talk to you about this one, you're going to know that, I'm talking about the other one, because I have talked about these two fragrances so much here on the channel, guys, especially the other one, which is coming later in the ranking. But right now, let's talk about Lattafa Mohra. Oh my goodness. So you guys know this is the sister of Mohra Silky Rose, which you guys know that I love. And of course, it's coming up later. But this one, I absolutely love this one too. And let me tell you, these two fragrances are so different one from the other. The other one is a very rose-centric fragrance, and this one is just intense. It is dark, it is bold, it is intense, it's a powerhouse, and it's one that honestly you can only really pull during the fall and winter seasons. I tried using this like in the beginning of spring and it just doesn't go very well. But anyway, this is where this one falls in the ranking. So this next fragrance is also one that I absolutely love, and it is part of a small collection within Lattafa, and it's all part of the AJWAD collection, and this one is AJWAD Dubai. You guys know that I love the sister of this one, which is AJWAD Dubai Portrait, which is coming up later, but this one is also a love for me. This is for my violet lovers, and this is a fragrance that not only brings in that violet, but it also has quite a bit of spiciness to it. The saffron here is so dominant and present to my nose. I absolutely love this fragrance, and I've discussed it and reviewed it here on the channel several times, but this is where it falls in the ranking. So this next fragrance is pretty new to my collection, and this one is Afeef. Now guys, Afeef is a fragrance that is focused on white florals, but the dominant white floral is the tuberose. And you guys know how I love a good tuberose. And here it is done exquisitely. I remember when I hauled this fragrance here on the channel, I told you guys that I was loving this fragrance, and I don't even mind this cap, which I have to agree with you, it is quite extra. It is a bit much, and it is a bit hollow. So I don't know, because I love the bottle, but I just feel that the cap cheapens it to a certain extent. But putting all of that aside, guys, the juice here is absolutely exquisite. I love it. I really enjoy this fragrance. And what I will tell you that I've discovered is that this fragrance is not one that layers very well. This is a fragrance that's really designed to be worn on its own, because when I try to layer with it, it just rarely goes well, if at all. So keep that in mind. But other than that, I really enjoy this fragrance, and this is where it falls in the ranking. So this next fragrance is from the niche Emarati collection within Lattafa, and you guys know that I absolutely love that collection. But from that collection, guys, there's certain fragrances that are lifers for me, and this next one is definitely one of them. This one is Vintage Castle, and Vintage Castle, guys, is all about the iris and the patchouli, and that combination has really made a difference for me and made it quite a love. This is a fragrance that I really enjoy. It is a powerhouse though, but it is a fragrance where I really believe that you have to be into iris because it's very powdery, and you have to enjoy patchouli because the patchouli is dominant. But I absolutely love this fragrance, but this is where it falls in the ranking. So the next fragrance that I want to share with you is Sakeena. So Sakeena is one of the sisters, and there's three of them. You remember I shared with you Haya a little bit ago. Well, this is Sakeena, and Sakeena is very different than Haya because this one, oh, I absolutely love this fragrance, guys, because it has that note of passion fruit, and you guys know how much I love passion fruit. There's also some raspberry and some orange blossom. It is just a fragrance that I absolutely love, and this is where it lands in the ranking. So the next one that I want to share with you is EMAAN, and of course EMAAN is the last of the three from this collection. And EMAAN is very different than Sakeena and Haya because EMAAN is a total, wow, a total white florals fragrance, but I'm going to tell you that you have to love a very dominant and intense note of tuberose, because that is what this fragrance gives me. So this fragrance, it's not the same, guys, but it does remind me, and I've shared this with you before, quite a bit of Love Tuberose from Amouage. I really don't know if it was inspired by it. I'm not going to get into that today, but I can tell you that this is an extreme tuberose centric fragrance. So if you are a tuberose lover and you haven't gotten your nose on EMAAN, you really should give it a try, because I promise you, you will fall deeply in love. Now this next fragrance is pretty new to my collection, so you know that if it ranked this high, it's because it's a true love. And I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I just discussed it here on the channel very recently. And this one is Zikra. Now keep in mind, guys, that if I just picked up this fragrance maybe like a month or 2 months ago actually, and then I let it sit for a bit, and and I'm bringing it to a ranking, and it's ranking this high, and it really hasn't had a chance to sit for months and months in my collection, you know that this is a really, really good fragrance from the get-go. But for me, that has been the case with all of the niche Emarati fragrances. They really have like a different level within Lattafa, truly. But anyway, Zikra is a definite love, and it ranks this high for that reason. The next one that I have for you is an oldie but a goodie. But when I tell you that this one is a goodie, I absolutely love this fragrance, and my goodness, it is a powerhouse. This one is Amir Al Oud Oud Intense. Oh my goodness. So as the name says it, I have to tell you that the oud here is very present. This is not necessarily a smooth oud. It's not designed to go a bit below radar. No, this one is definitely in your face. It reminds me a lot of the way that Ahmed Al-Maghribi uses oud in his fragrances, because it is an unapologetic oud, if you know what I mean. It is present and it is dominant throughout the entire olfactory journey, but at that, it's not barnyardish, and it is such a delight. This is an incredible fragrance, guys, which is just perfect for any occasion, day or night. But this is definitely, of course, for colder weather. But here you have it, Amir Al Oud Intense Oud. So this next fragrance is the sister of a fragrance that I shared before, and this one is AJAYEB Dubai Portrait. Now we've discussed this fragrance here on the channel so much, because I was quite obsessed with this fragrance for months and months, months and months at a time. And this fragrance has had a chance to sit in my collection, and I can tell you that this fragrance is a powerhouse. There is some mango here, and I just love the way that the mango has been done here. And this is a fragrance that, honestly, guys, is just exceptional. This is such a high compliment getter within this group of fragrances. But anyway, this is where it ranks, and this is AJAYEB Dubai Portrait. So this next one is one that I have a dedicated review for here on the channel. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it. And I reviewed it maybe 3 months ago, and I'm speaking about Badi Al Oud, and this one is Noble Blush. I absolutely love this fragrance. If you want all the details, just go find it in the channel, because let me tell you, this is one that you would absolutely love. This is all about rose and a very like lactonic quality to it, but it's not very lactonic. It's a very well balanced fragrance. It totally took me by surprise, because as I told you before, I have not been very lucky with the Badi Al Oud, line. But when it comes to Honor and Glory and Noble Blush, absolute loves. All right, guys. So I have all along not been very much of a fan of the Yara line. Some of the fragrances just didn't work for me, but the ones that have, and this next one is a true love of mine, and I have a dedicated review here on the channel, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. And this one is Yara Candy. Guys, absolutely love this fragrance. This fragrance is so incredibly yummy, guys. This is truly all about candy, and it's one fragrance, guys, that once you spray it, you're going to keep spraying it and spraying it, because it is so addictive. Anyway, check out my review if you have any other questions or you need details, because this is a fragrance that if you haven't gotten your nose on it, I really recommend that you do. Now guys, this next fragrance, I will never forget the first time that I sprayed and sniffed this fragrance, my reaction. My reaction was so over the top that I thought, you know, it was just very funny, and I just should share that moment with you. And the video where I first featured this fragrance, I opened with my reaction, because when I tell you that AJWAD Pink to Pink took my heart immediately, it was an immediate love. Now this is a fragrance, guys, that is not a crowd pleaser, because the dominant note in this fragrance is guava. And this fragrance has now had a chance to sit for quite the number of months in my collection, and it is a powerhouse. And for some people, you know, that guava note is translating to something like oud, but when I tell you that no, the dominant note here is for sure the guava, but this one is a bold, unapologetic, like raw and in your face kind of guava, which I absolutely love. So if you are a guava lover, you may want to try this fragrance if you haven't tried it to date. But this is where it ranks right now in my collection. The next fragrance I think is going to come as a surprise for most of you, because this has got to be one of the most popular fragrances that Lattafa has launched in, you know, in recent times, right? I think this one was launched, I don't know, maybe mid-year 2024. I don't know, guys, but let me tell you, ever since it launched, it's been just one of the most popular fragrances. And I have a dedicated review here on the channel for it, where I also compare it to a couple of other fragrances that it was definitely inspired by. But I'm not going to get into all of that. If you're interested in knowing more about Lattafa Eclaire, please just go check out my dedicated review, because it's very interesting. But this fragrance, oh my goodness, this is yumminess in a bottle. This is, though, a very, very lactonic fragrance. So if you're not into lactonic fragrances, you may want to stay away from this one. But if you do like a good lactonic fragrance that is perfect for the fall and winter seasons primarily, and you haven't tried this fragrance, you really need to get your nose on Eclaire, because I really do believe that it will be an immediate love. The next fragrance that I have for you is a fragrance that I just shared with you recently here on the channel. But guys, when I tell you, I am so impressed with this fragrance that it's ranked very, very high, as you can tell. So that should tell you exactly how I feel about this fragrance when it's ranked higher than other fragrances that you know have been loves of mine for a long time. And I'm speaking about Mayar Cherry Intense. Guys, if you haven't gotten your nose on this fragrance and you are a cherry fragrances lover, I encourage you to get your nose on it. But I will reiterate what I said when I reviewed it here on the channel, which is this fragrance is not about cherry itself. This fragrance is truly, as they disclosed in the notes, all about the note of cherry jam. It smells exactly like cherry jam. But at that, this fragrance is not cloying, which is what's so different about it. There's like an airiness to it that is just exquisite. The next fragrance is not going to come as a surprise, because this fragrance has consistently ranked pretty high here on the channel since I first hauled it. And it had the very top positions in many of my favorites videos, where I include not just Lattafa, but other fragrance houses. And this one is Mohra Silky Rose. Oh my goodness, guys, if you are looking for just a beautiful rose fragrance, where the fragrance has a rose that is not dated, this is a freshly bloomed rose that has a bit of maturity to it, but this is not your regular dated, just jammy kind of rose. No, this fragrance has been done exquisitely, and I don't know one person that I've recommended this fragrance to that does not fall absolutely in love with it. Anyway, this is where it is ranking in my collection. All right, guys, so this next fragrance, and now we are entering the ultra passions of mine, right? Guys, you may recall, if you've been with me for a while, when I first sniffed this fragrance, I was so impressed, and so it just caught me by surprise because I didn't expect it. So I did put a community post out there letting you know that I have found a fragrance that you guys needed all to know about, and then I brought it to Middle Eastern Thursday that same week. I reprogrammed everything just to bring the fragrance because that's how impressed I was. And this one is ASAD Zanzibar. You guys may recall, this is such a love for me. This is just such a love. So this fragrance was designed for the gents. This is supposed to be a gentleman's fragrance, but for me, this is a unisex fragrance that, if anything, leans to the feminine side. And I've said that here many times. There is like a creamy coconut in this fragrance that I just absolutely love. This is perfection, perfection for the summer season. But this is one that I like to layer with during the winter months, and definitely a fragrance that you can pull for spring. But please guys, if you haven't gotten your nose on this fragrance, just at least try it and let me know your thoughts. This next fragrance I'm not going to spend any time on because this is one of those fragrances that is a deep love of mine, and which has been at the very top of several ranking lists here on the channel. But there have been so many other fragrances that, oh my goodness, they have really toppled her from one of her stellar positions. And I'm speaking about Musamam White Intense. No need to say more, guys. If you need any details, if you've missed any of my hauls or reviews, just go ahead and enter the name and you will find it in the channel, because I tell you, this is just perfection. This is a fragrance that I really highly recommend it amongst all of my Lattafa fragrances. This is the one that I would highly recommend as a signature scent because it is very versatile. Any season, any occasion, day or night, just incredible. And it is going to get you compliments. So this next fragrance, guys, is also not going to come as a surprise because Mughal Fort from the Niche Emarati line is a fragrance that I have discussed this fragrance so much here on the channel. It is just ridiculous, okay? I always tell you the same thing. If you are a spicy fragrance lover, if you are a spicy fragrances lover, you have got to get your nose on this fragrance. This one is a lifer for me. Guys, this is my favorite spicy fragrance in my entire collection, not just within Lattafa, not just within Middle Eastern. This fragrance has become like an icon for me when it comes to a well done, oh my goodness, spicy fragrance. Anyway, if you have this fragrance, please let us know your thoughts on it, what you enjoy about it, what you don't enjoy about it. I love everything about it. I'm going to tell you right now, performance, scent, everything, you name it, Mughal Fort. Oh guys, okay, so I'm telling you, we are now here in like the deep, deep loves of mine, because you guys know how very much I love and have recommended this next fragrance. This is a mango-centric fragrance, but this mango is one that you can dress down, you can dress it up. I tell you, I pull this fragrance any season of the year for any occasion because I am just in love with it. And although I have other mango fragrances now in my collection that have really captured my heart and attention, Niche Emarati Remas will always have its very stellar place in my collection because this fragrance is just everything. Anyway, if you want more details, just pull it up on the channel because, guys, I have talked about this fragrance so much here on the channel that I'm not going to bore you with it again. So these next two fragrances are part of a collection that was not a collection, but they were launched like one after the other during 2024. And as soon as they stepped in my collection, they made their mark. And I know that when I share today with you which one has superseded at this point the other, you guys are going to be quite shocked because the OG Teriaq has always been at the very, very top of my list. And it is very high in this ranking. I mean, we only have 4 fragrances to go, and this one is in the number 4 spot. The love, guys, is the same, but it's just that the fragrances that I'm sharing next have done a number because this one, oh my goodness. This is absolute vanilla love for me. Absolute. The vanilla here has been done in such a, I will say it, to me it's like a mature way. This is not gourmandish. This is a vanilla that stands on its own. And this is a fragrance, guys, that is a powerhouse. Oh my goodness. A ton of character and oomph behind it. Teriaq. Now, needless to say, guys, in the next spot we have Teriaq Intense. Yes, Teriaq Intense has now taken over. I don't know what has happened, guys, but this fragrance is the compliment getter of the century. My goodness. So this is a fragrance that when I tell you, you walk in and they will turn around. When you pass by, they will follow and stop you and ask you. I had this in my most complimented fragrances video, but in addition to that, guys, I don't know what's happened, but I am just in love with the scent of this fragrance. Oh my goodness. And I have a dedicated review for this one also. So if you want more details, go ahead and look for it in the channel and you will find it. Anyway, Teriaq Intense. So guys, we are now down to the last two fragrances, and I think we've done great because I thought this video would take at least an hour, and I'm trying to make sure that it doesn't take an hour. This one is not going to be a surprise because this one has been at the top of my list since it was first launched. And I am speaking, of course, about Lattafa Sehr. Guys, I'm going to say what I always say when I talk about this fragrance. I know that some of you don't appreciate this cap. We'll remove the cap and replace it with some other regular cap or whatever you can do. But just don't miss out on the opportunity of having this fragrance and sniffing it, because this is truly an incredible vanilla fragrance. I have a dedicated review. I have compared this fragrance. I have reviewed it yet again. I have given you post maceration updates on this fragrance. So you will find all the information that you need on the channel, but this one is in my number 2 spot. All right, guys, so I'm sure you're wondering, okay, she already shared Teriaq and she already shared Sehr and she already shared Emarati, Remas, and so many others that we know and have known for the longest time, Mughal Fort, that she absolutely loves and that they have consistently, like on some Musamam White, I'm sorry, they have consistently been at the very top. So what is she going to bring us today? Well, let me tell you guys that this fragrance that is in the number 1 spot is a very recent addition to my collection. But from the get-go, this fragrance took me by surprise storm and it just took my heart. And I am on a chokehold with this fragrance. I already sent for a backup bottle because this one is a lifer for me. This is just exceptional. This is what dreams are made of. And I am speaking about Mashrabya. Oh my goodness. Listen, if you have not gotten your nose on this fragrance, please do yourself the favor and run. And you know, I never say things like that, like run for what? but I'm telling you, run and get yourself a sample or the bottle if you want to pick it up. But you just need to get your nose on this fragrance, because when I tell you this is perfection, oh my goodness, guys, this is just incredible. This is just absolutely incredible. And this is a fragrance that has come to my collection and has toppled all of the other fragrances that on a routine basis, specifically for Lattafa, would have been at the very top. I do have a review of this fragrance here on the channel. I think I just completed the review either last week or the week before, but from the first moment I sniffed this fragrance, it was a deep love. And guys, to have it as my number 1 from Lattafa, I mean, you saw the amount of masterpieces that I've gone through from Lattafa, and this one is at the top. Anyway, guys, let us know if you have Mashrabya in your collection and how do you feel about it, what you like about it, what you may not like about it, how it performs. For me, this is a complete 100 out of 10. All right, guys, so we have finally made it. I was able to provide you with the ranking of my entire Lattafa fragrances collection, and I'm proud of myself because I don't think that this video is going to be an hour, and I really worked hard to make sure that it was not an hour. I just wanted to come on here and, number one, start to share pieces of my collection to see if we can go through it in a more reasonable way, but I also wanted to let you know where my heart is after all this time of you being on this journey with me. This is where I am when it comes to Lattafa. There have been many incredible fragrances that I have discovered. There have been some fails, but I have to tell you, the ones that I love are true loves. Anyway, guys, as always, thank you so much for hanging with me today, and I will see you all in the next video.